Does it make you nuts, or do you feel like the heart of your art and storytelling is to tell the story of your life?
That's who I am. And I've done it from the beginning of my career. Two things, you know, one, no one knew the characters, so it wasn't as impactful, you know. And two, it wasn't coming from a place that was as evolved. And it's very difficult, you know, it's hard. It's hard to hear songs back. It's hard to perform songs. But I feel it's the most important work that I've done, and I'm very proud of it. And the effect that it's having on people, and even like the studio sessions, you know, we were having 4-hour conversations after playing one song. I learned so much about people that was around me, just my friends. I learned things about them that I didn't know, that in 20-year relationship just from this one song. So I knew it would have that sort of impact beyond myself. It's my responsibility as an artist to go to these places.
Did your wife's own confessional album, which came out first, make it so that you had to be even extra confessional? I mean, in other words, it would have been hard after her album, which talked frankly about you guys, to like have an album to come out that would be about
some frivolous anything. It actually started out, we were working on material together, and it became Lemonade. You know, she went off and did her thing, and it was like, it just felt like she should go first, and she should share her truths with the world. So it wasn't based on I have to say something because of this album. It wasn't even like that. It's just really honest.
But you probably couldn't have gotten away with, okay, you do the album Wife that talks about our pain. I'm gonna go do an album that talks about, you know, my love of art.
You never know. I think it turned out for the best. I think, but you just never know, because people like to be entertained. Again, back to our president. You know what I'm saying? Like, you would think, man, after the composed manner at which Obama stood at that podium, the dignity he brought to that place, that this couldn't exist, but it does.
Do you have any disappointments in Obama? There are people who say the expectations of him as the first black president were so great. He was supposed to get rid of racism and fix everything. Is that unfair? Do you think, did he live up to all of your expectations?
Yes, because all he can do is the best he can do. He's not a superhero. And it's unfair to place unfulfillable expectations on this man just because of his color. You're actually doing the opposite. It's like, what do you think is gonna happen? He's there for 8 years. And he has to undo what 43 presidents have done in 8 years. It's not fair.
What do you think of the state of, I'm not gonna say just black leadership period, on the things you care about in the country? Who do you look at and say, this man or woman speaks for the things I care about?
It's gonna be funny, but I find it funny, but my leadership, I like Dave Chappelle's leadership.
Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying?
You're gonna vote for Dave Chappelle for president?
Yeah, because he tells it in humor so you can deal with it, but it's always a nice chunk of truth in there.
Is there a part of you, because you have a certain amount of money, that gets a little more conservative, or does having money not change your politics?
No, no, because I believe in people. You know, I want what's best for people. I love people. You know, so I don't have that sort of thing like I want to vote Republican just to save more money. That's not the end game. It's not about who got more money and who got more houses. Yes, you know, you've earned it, buy what you want. You know, but don't forget what's important. Without people, and being rich would be very boring. There's no one to share with, no one to have. You know what I mean? Like, you just be a rich person, one person on the planet, just like, well, then what do you do?
When I heard this latest album, and then I thought about the earlier albums, one theme was sort of reaching the promised land. You know, you've acquired influence, and not just money, but your life is good. And then when you listen to the newest album, you're thinking, he must have been in a lot of pain when life was good.
Absolutely.
Is that true?
Yeah, I did listen to a song called Song Cry. And the idea of the hook, never seen it coming down my eyes, but I got to make the song cry. It tells you right there what I was hiding. The strongest thing a man can do is cry. To expose your feelings, to be vulnerable in front of the world. That's real strength. You know, you feel like you got to be this guarded person. That's not real. It's fake.
Does that mean you were unhappy during that period and didn't have a handle on it, or what?
Well, you can compartmentalize, right? So you can be inside your body and be happy, but at the core of it, something else is going on.
Right. As a, parent, I thought one of the most painful scene or line or whatever in the album was when you are talking about having almost lost your marriage, and you talk about what it would have been like to watch another man play football with your kid. I thought that is like, given that you have talked so much about your life and your music, are there things that you put a wall around? I'm not going to talk about that. You've talked about the pain of growing up, where you grew up, how you grew up, your father leaving early, the pain of your marriage, being in therapy. Are there things you say, I'm not going there?
Yeah, and it mostly involves other people, because when other people are involved, you have to also, you may be ready to expose these things, and there's certain parts of, it's also other people's truth as well. A perfect example is my mom.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about
and
when did you...
I didn't have permission to do that song first, so just like we had a beautiful conversation.
When did you realize your mother was gay?
Really early on.
Like as a little kid?
Not. Let's say call it teenage years.
So you realized it and talked to her about it? What was that?
We never spoke about it. It just exists. It was there. Everyone knew.
Gotcha.
But we never spoke about it until, like, recently. Now we start having these beautiful conversations and just really like getting to know each other. We were always good friends, but now we're like really great friends, And we were just talking as friends, and then she was sharing that she was in love. And I guess there's years of like feeling for her and feeling like she's free. She can be herself. She doesn't have to hide for her kids or be feeling she's embarrassing her kids. It was a much different time then. Don't just think about...
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? Yes. She could just live her full life, her whole life, and be her.
Will this get harder over time? Like, as a young man, and your music was the way a lot of young rappers are. It's like, the violent life. If that's chapter 1 of the autobiography, chapter 2 of the autobiography, I'm oversimplifying this. It's like, now I'm really rich, I have a lot of stuff. Let me tell you how cool that is. And then chapter 3 of the autobiography is, oh my God, I'm like run myself into the ground. What's chapter 4?
3 is, oh my goodness, the most beautiful things are not these objects. The most beautiful things are inside. The most beautiful things are the friendships I have really like golden friendships that, most people don't have. You can have all the watches and paintings in the world. You don't have a friends like I have. The friendships I've acquired and the compassion and the person I've become. Like that's what this chapter is, and the conversations with my mom. Those are the real enriching experiences.
Will you have the same adventures in your life? Will you have the same stuff to write about? Maybe you don't know.
I think that rap in particular is a young man's sport, that I'll move out of that white hot space. But rap is about the gift of discovery. To be the cool person in school, you have to know the newest music, the newest dance move, have the newest clothing on. So rap is based on that. What's new? What do you, I know you know Jay-Z is good, but do you know this song right here that only 4 people heard it?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then they bring that person into the masses of pop culture, and then you have a window before saying that you are the one is no longer cool. And then you have to move past that, and you have to find a way to exist. The white hot space is when it's fresh and new, and it's like, this is the hottest song ever.
Right.
I mean, I pushed the window like...
I stretched
that.
In that space?
Oh, I stood in that window a really long time.
Are you still in there?
But still, no. I don't think people are looking to me as like the thing.
Is that hard to deal with, or did you feel like I'm okay with that because I've moved on?
No.
You don't want to?
Because at the end of the day, we're gonna find out it's not about the white hot space, but it's about finding the truth. that white hot space, people think it's the biggest thing, but it's really small. It's almost like a trend. Would you rather be a trend or you rather be Ralph Lauren?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you rather be a trend or you rather be forever. I'm the person that looked at the Mona Lisa and be like, man, that's gonna be cool in 40 years.
Right.
Right? I play forever.
Right.
I play forever. And so my whole thing is to identify with the truth, not to be the youngest, hottest, new trendy thing.
One of the things you rap about also is the pain you caused the people you sold drugs to. Have you ever had conversations with people like that you caused pain to as a young man and talked about it?
No, I haven't. No.
What would you say to them? Or is that impossible to do at this point?
Nothing's impossible, right? So no, I don't think it's impossible. I guess that conversation would definitely take ownership for my part in you know, the part I played in occupying that space. Because knowing what I know now, you know, you can't sacrifice others for your life. You know, there's a karmic debt that has to be paid. Had I had the level of consciousness then that I have now, things would have turned out differently. And just knowing that, I definitely want everyone to know that.
Do black artists have a different obligation than white artists? Do you feel you have a different kind of obligation to the people who listen to you than if you were a white musician?
Yeah, because I have an obligation, going back to the story of OJ, is to further conversation of an entire race of people.